In the first reading, you have the book of the prophet Amos. And the one thing I like about Amos is that Amos is like Nathaniel in the Gospel of John, a man without guile. He was a person who was a shepherd. He was a dresser of vines. He was sent by God from Judah into the northern kingdom of Israel. Northern kingdom of Israel had two shrines that Jeroboam set up, one in Dan and the other in Bethel. So one in the north, one in the south. They didn't have to go to Jerusalem. And they began to have idolatrous worship. They also had, let's bring in a little bit of the Canaanites. So they had the gods of Baal and Ashtaroth as well. And so that wrong worship led to a problem with the law. They weren't doing the weightier things of the law. So when we think about Amos, we think about the person of social justice, the prophet of social justice. You know, you're cheating on the weights. You're selling the refuse of the wheat. You can't wait till the Sabbath is over. You're trying to see who's the first one to open right after the sun goes down. Trying to get under a second to try to do that. You're selling a poor man as if he was just some kind of a commodity. Again, so what we think about is with Amos is that, and so the priest comes up to him and says, flee, get lost, you're just angering the king. And he's like, hey, I'm not a prophet. I'm just telling you what God told me. And so one of the things about the first reading and taking it to the gospel is that, especially in the Gospel of Matthew, it makes it very clear when Jesus sends out the 12 two by two, that they're going to face that kind of opposition, the opposition that was faced by the prophets, the opposition that will be faced by him. All those things are going to occur. But in the meantime, what we think about in the gospel is that Jesus sends out the 12. He instructs them to take no walking stick, no sack, no money for their belts. They are to take sandals. So one of the things about the Gospel of Mark is that idea of immediacy. 35 times at least in the Gospel of Mark, there's that idea of immediacy, the idea of Jesus on the move. The disciples and the apostles are on the move. And so it's no wonder why Jesus says to take sandals, because you want to be able to move. You want to be able to go out quickly. The other thing about it is that not having the ability to pay for anything themselves, there's certainly going to be a difference between their preaching if they had the ability to pay and not the ability to pay. If they had the ability to pay, okay, well, we'll go into a town, we'll try to get there by maybe late afternoon, check into an inn, see what they have, get a room, go out for dinner, have a nice dinner, maybe wake up in the morning, think about preaching then. But if you have no money, then there's that immediacy as well, because you're saying to yourself as you're praying, Lord, please help me to find a town that's hospitable. Please, Lord, help me to find somebody in that town who's hospitable, who's going to give me food and shelter. Please help my preaching that I may, that the town may hear and respond to the words. All those kind of things you're going to be doing. So it's no wonder why, especially religious orders, so a few of the religious orders do still use this today, sending out people either with no money or very little money, and told to basically go. The problem in that is that it's very good, but there can be some challenges. Just like with fasting. Fasting is very good, but the problem with fasting is that if you say to yourself, well, I've fasted for 3 days, so Lord, you have to do this for me. One of the problems with not having any money, not having any ability to get someplace is that in our ordered and structured world, it can be difficult. So if Franciscan of the Primitive Order is doing a parish mission in Silver Spring, and they might be stuck in Youngstown, Ohio. The pastor is wondering, where are they? I've got 80 people out there, wanting to hear this parish mission, and where are they? Well, they're still stuck in Youngstown, Ohio. They'll make it, maybe, but again, there's no guarantee that they will make it. So in an ordered and structured world, sometimes it's kind of challenging to be able to do this. The other thing that we see in this gospel is that they had authority. They had authority to drive out demons. They also were anointed many who were sick and cured them. So really, this is that biblical basis for anointing of the sick. Really, anointing of the sick had become more extreme unction. It become, when the person is to the point of death, that they will come and anoint them and prepare them for heaven. And that's still valid, but it's also valid to have somebody who's going into surgery, or somebody who is been sick or diagnosed with an illness. It doesn't mean that they're at the point of death. It may mean that they may recover, and the sacrament can be given at another time. If they become worse, certainly the sacrament can be used more than once. But again, this is an important thing to help them to give them strength in their recovery, and also in their illness, in fortifying them for the challenges ahead. So what we think about with the apostles is that the apostles, just like the prophets of old, will eventually face opposition. Right now, there's more curiosity on the part of the people, but they certainly in the end will face that opposition. They will face those challenges. They'll face banishment. They'll face struggles with imprisonment and even death itself. And so the Lord is giving them that opportunity to come and to witness and to minister the gospel with that idea of immediacy, with that idea of dependence, good, healthy dependence upon God. Thanks. God bless.